The letter was folded wrong, creased too many times, and smudged with pencil marks and a tear stain that had dried into the paper like a bruise. It should have ended up in a red mailbox, carried away with wishes and stamps and hope. Instead, it slid across sun-warmed asphalt in broad daylight, caught by the wind, and stopped beneath a black motorcycle bearing a winged skull. That was how a little girl's prayer for a father landed in the hands of a man the world had already decided was beyond saving. Before the story truly begins, pause for just a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that even the hardest hearts can still be reached, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Only kindness. Sometimes, stories like this find the people who need them most. The girl's name was Maribel Cruz, and she was 8 years old with careful hands and eyes that noticed everything. She lived in a narrow apartment above a closed laundromat, where sunlight filtered through dusty windows in the late morning and painted pale stripes across the floor. Daytime was her favorite because it felt safer, warmer, and less lonely than the long nights when the city sounds grew louder and her thoughts grew heavier. Her mother worked double shifts cleaning offices, leaving before sunrise and returning when the sky was already fading, and Maribel learned early how to make cereal quietly, how to tie her shoes tight, and how to pretend she wasn't scared. There had never been a father in the apartment, not even a photograph tucked into a frame. Maribel knew the story only in fragments, overheard from tired phone calls and whispered conversations with neighbors. He had left before she could remember, vanished like a shadow at noon. At school, Father's Day projects were the hardest. She would sit with her crayons, drawing suns and houses and stick figures, then quietly fold the paper and slip it into her backpack unfinished. She did not cry loudly or ask questions out loud. She simply carried the absence like a small stone in her pocket, always there, always heavy. The idea to write to Santa came on a bright afternoon in early winter, when the city was decorated but the air still felt thin and cold. The school counselor had talked about wishes, about believing in good things even when life felt unfair. That afternoon, Maribel borrowed a stubby pencil and tore a page from an old notebook. She wrote slowly, her letters uneven but determined. She did not ask for toys or sweets. She did not ask for money or magic. She wrote the only thing she had been brave enough to name. She folded the paper again and again, careful, hopeful, and slipped it into her coat pocket. On her way home, she passed a corner where motorcycles often gathered, loud and dark against the bright day. She had learned to walk quickly there, eyes down. The wind picked up suddenly, playful and cruel, tugging the letter free. Maribel noticed too late. The paper danced once, twice, then skidded across the pavement and disappeared beneath a parked bike. Fear rooted her to the spot. The men near the motorcycles were everything she had been taught to avoid. Leather vests, heavy boots, faces lined by years of hard living. The patches on their backs marked them as Hell's Angels, a name spoken in whispers. Maribel's heart hammered. She told herself to leave it, to walk away. But that letter felt like her heart, and she could not abandon it. The man who noticed first was named Ezekiel, Zeke, Rowan. He was 43, broad-shouldered, with graying hair pulled back and a beard that hid most of his expression. Daylight revealed details the night often hid, old scars along his hands, the tired set of his eyes, the way he leaned slightly as if carrying invisible weight. Zeke had spent most of his life being feared, and he wore that reputation like armor. People crossed the street when they saw him coming. Clerks watched him closely. Kids were pulled closer by anxious parents. He told himself it didn't matter. He bent down to pick up the paper only because he didn't want it caught in the bike chain. The pencil writing caught his eye. The word Santa sat at the top, careful and hopeful. Zeke frowned, then unfolded the letter. He read it once, then again. The words were simple, clumsy, and devastating in their honesty. The request was not for a gift, but for a person. A dad, someone to teach her how to ride a bike, to come to school events, to stay. For a moment, the noise of the street faded. The engines, the laughter of his club brothers, the hum of the city all fell away. Daylight washed over him, exposing memories he had buried deep. He remembered his own childhood, a father lost to drink and rage, a mother worn thin by survival. He remembered learning early that love was unreliable, that strength came from expecting nothing. He had built his life around that lesson, brick by brick, until there was no room left for softness. He looked up and saw Maribel standing several steps away, frozen, her small hands clenched into fists. Fear was written plainly across her face, but so was resolve. Zeke stood slowly and walked toward her. holding the letter carefully, as if it might break. The men around him quieted, sensing the shift. Zeke stopped at a respectful distance and lowered himself slightly so he would not tower over her. He held out the paper. Maribel hesitated, then took it, her fingers brushing his calloused skin. She nodded quickly, whispered a thank you too soft to hear, and turned to run. Zeke watched her go, a strange ache settling in his chest. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Zeke rode with the others, the sun high and bright, the world moving fast around him. But the letter stayed with him, burned into his thoughts. He imagined the girl's apartment, the empty chair at the table, the quiet evenings. He told himself it was not his problem. He told himself he had no place in a child's life. He told himself many things. None of them stuck. Over the following weeks, he began to notice Maribel around the neighborhood. Always in daylight, walking home from school, sitting on the steps with a book, waiting for her mother. He noticed how she watched other families, how she smiled politely but held herself apart. Zeke did not approach her. He did not wave. He simply watched from a distance, an unexpected guardian shadowed by sunlight. Zeke's life was not a gentle one. He ran a small repair shop that kept him busy during the day, fixing engines and broken things, his hands skilled and steady. The shop was his refuge, a place where order could be restored. At night, he rode with the club, loyalty binding them together in ways few outsiders understood. But something had shifted. He found himself leaving earlier, returning sooner, choosing daylight over darkness more often than before. Change came slowly, almost imperceptibly. One afternoon, he saw Maribel struggling with a heavy grocery bag, her mother still at work. Without thinking too much, he crossed the street and offered help, keeping his voice low and calm. Maribel hesitated, then nodded. He carried the bag upstairs and set it down, stepping back immediately. No pressure, no expectations, just help. From then on, small moments accumulated. Zeke fixed a broken bike left abandoned behind the building and leaned it against the wall where Maribel would find it. He shoveled snow from the sidewalk after a storm, even though it was still early in the season and the sun was out. He left fresh fruit on the step, pretending it was nothing. Maribel noticed. Children always do. Her mother, Sophia Cruz, noticed too. She was wary at first, suspicion earned through years of struggle. But she saw the way Zeke kept his distance, the respect in his actions. She saw how Maribel's shoulders relaxed when he was around, how her laughter came easier in the afternoons. Sophia did not trust easily, but she believed in watching carefully. The true test came one bright day when Maribel fell off her bike and scraped her knee badly. The blood was alarming, the pain sharp. Zeke happened to be nearby. He knelt, cleaned the wound with steady hands, wrapped it carefully, and waited until Sophia arrived, breathless and frightened. He explained simply what had happened, apologized for overstepping, and prepared to leave. Sophia stopped him. She looked at her daughter, then at the man in front of her. She saw not a biker, not a label, but a person choosing kindness again and again without being asked. She thanked him. It was the first word exchange that felt like a bridge. Weeks turned into months. Daylight filled their interactions. Zeke became a constant, reliable presence, never pushing, never claiming a role that was not offered. He taught Maribel how to balance on her bike, running alongside her, letting go slowly. He showed her how engines worked, how broken things could be fixed with patience. He attended school events quietly, standing at the back, clapping when she performed. Sophia watched it all, her guarded heart softening. Zeke struggled privately. He doubted himself constantly. He feared he would fail, that his past would poison the fragile hope growing between them. He talked less with his club brothers, choosing instead to sit in the sun outside the shop, thinking. He knew he could not erase who he was, but he could choose who he became. One afternoon, as winter deepened but the days remained bright, Maribel handed him a folded piece of paper. Her handwriting was steadier now. It was another letter, not to Santa this time, but to him. She did not call him father. She did not ask for promises. She simply thanked him for staying. That was the moment Zeke broke. Not outwardly, not in a way anyone could see. But inside, something long frozen finally thawed. He realized that being a dad was not about biology or perfection. It was about presence, about choosing to show up in the daylight, again and again. As the season turned, Sophia and Zeke had long conversations in the small kitchen, sunlight slanting across the table. They talked about boundaries, fears, and hopes. They moved carefully, deliberately. Trust was built brick by brick, like the life Zeke had once built around armor. This time, He built something warmer. The day Maribel introduced him at school as her family, the word chosen carefully, Zeke felt taller than he ever had on a motorcycle. The world did not change overnight. There were still looks, whispers, judgment. But there was also laughter, shared meals, and the quiet peace of belonging. Just before the end of this story, take a moment. If this journey of unexpected kindness and second chances has touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and support only kindness. Stories like this live longer when they are shared. And here is a special request before the ending. Write in the comments what you would have asked for if you had written that letter as a child. On a bright morning, nearly a year after the letter blew away, Maribel sat at the table writing again. This time, the paper stayed where she put it. She wrote about school, about her bike, about how her life felt fuller. Zeke watched from the doorway, sunlight outlining his silhouette. He knew he could never erase the past, but he also knew that redemption did not ask for erasure. It asked for commitment. The letter that once asked for a dad had changed everything, not because it was answered by magic, but because it was answered by a man willing to listen. In the clear light of day, a little girl learned that wishes could come true in unexpected ways, and a Hell's Angel learned that even the hardest roads could still lead home.